This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 460 of Horse Tip Daily, a different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is brought to you by Equestrian Collections for the entire universe of equestrian shopping at your fingertips at a price you can afford. Visit equestriancollections.com. Well, howdy, everybody. This is Glenn the Geek from Lexington, Kentucky, back with you at Horse Tip Daily. Well, today we have back with us someone that we enjoy talking to so much here on the Horse Radio Network on our various shows, and that's Shawna Koresh. You know Shawna as the clicker training lady. She basically created the method called on-target training for horses way back when, and it's used by professionals and Olympic caliber riders as well as amateur riders. And it's a reward reinforcement training system that dramatically accelerates the training process for any breed or discipline by unlocking a horse's natural desire to perform. With results is an incredible bond between human and horse, and we've used this on our horses, and we believe in the system, so that's why we have Shawna on here on a regular basis. She talks to us a little bit about training and other stuff, some practical stuff around the barn as well. And Shawna is a regular on our Horses in the Morning show at horsesinthemorning.com. We're going to get Shawna on here in just a minute, but first I want to talk to you about Equestrian Collections. You're always buying stuff for you, your family, and your horse. Next time you go to buy something, hold off from ordering from that place that you normally go to online. You know which one it is. And, just check out Equestrian Collections first. Think, Glenn has told me to go to Equestrian Collections for a long time. It's about darn time I do it. So go there, comparison shop, see the selection they have, which is incredible selection of all different kinds of products. Stop by equestriancollections.com and check out their terrific prices. They have a closeout section that you can't believe, and you're going to want to check out up to 70% off. All different kinds of stuff in there. So go to equestriancollections.com today, and before you order that next thing online, at least take a few minutes and stop by equestriancollections.com. And now to our friend, Shawna Koresh. Well, hi, Shawna, and welcome back to Horse Tip Daily.
Well, nice to be here, Glenn.
You have a website, and you do a number of different things. And, of course, you're all into social media now, too. And on your website, we're going to have to talk about sometime. You have a blog. And you've been blogging regularly, and one of the things I saw on there was frozen carrot stew. We are going to have to talk about frozen carrot stew sometime because, I'm a guy, I'm all about the food. And the horses are too. See, that's what we have in common. So we're gonna I don't know, frozen carrot stew doesn't sound really yummy to me, but it might be something that's yummy to my horse. So we'll have to talk about that sometime too.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
All right, good. So how are we going to help people today?
Well, today it's kind of a behavior tip because, the bottom line is I study behavior. And so it's something for people to recognize in their horses and hopefully be able to change or modify or see the behaviors changing. And basically, this is just a little bit of a textbook lesson for a moment, but horses, we all actually, not just horses, we're all learning through something called operant conditioning, and it means we're learning to operate on our environment, to get what we want, avoid what we don't want. Those are all big terms, but basically it means that if anything happens, it's happening for a reason. And I bring this up because as a horse trainer, if I see any behavior that my horse does increasing in frequency, it means something in the environment is serving to reinforce it. It's either they're getting something they want or they're avoiding something that they don't want. So as you see something starting to become a habit or increasing in your horse's environment, and sometimes it's stuff like pawing, and so then we go over, and as by and large we have a tendency to go over and fuss at them, about their pawing. And you'll notice that the pawing tends to get worse, not go away, because they're getting some sort of attention out of it. Even if it is that they're getting chided or, corrected. But a lot of times you'll see it increase because they're not standing alone in the cross ties. Somebody's over there fussing at them. So I think that's a really good example. So what you try, but it happens all over the place. It's bucking or refusing to go in, to be caught in the paddock, or refusing to go in the trailer. But so if you see anything like that increase in frequency, realize that they're getting something out of it or avoiding something they don't want to do. And then if we utilize something if we utilize positive reinforcement, we can actually rebalance those scales that are starting to get more weight on the side of the thing we don't want to see. We can actually, by utilizing positive reinforcement for a correct behavior, we can get them doing something we do like to see. So, like, let's say the horse who won't be caught in the paddock, out in the pasture, he is and that's not brain surgery. He doesn't want to come in and go to work when he's out there eating with his friends. That's pretty much what we're doing, is to bring him in away from his friends to come in and to be ridden. And so by going out there and utilizing something that's good for them, or something that they put a value on, not that we do. You can just go out and teach them to do something like lift their legs or touch the target, and you create an opportunity that has positive reinforcement in it, an opportunity you like, and then you can walk away and just leave them out there. So they start to learn that it's a good thing. You know what I mean? So then it makes it easier to catch them, easier to want to come in. So you're giving them something constructive to do as opposed to doing the incorrect behavior. I went a little off task there.
Sometimes that's more. Sometimes that's easier to figure out than other times, though.
That is for sure.
So how do you figure it out? How do you figure out what? So you're saying that they're doing something because, help me out here. They're doing something. I lost my train of thought.
Because they're trying to either get something they want or avoid something they don't want.
Right.
So like the horse in the cross ties who is pawing. And he's thinking, I don't want to just be standing here alone in the cross ties. I want you to come here. I mean, even if you come over and this was an example that was kind of got carried away, but the gal who was the groom for this fancy dressage horse, she would correct him when he would paw in the cross ties. And it was getting worse. And he just didn't want to be left alone in the cross ties. So she would come over and then kind of smack him with a riding stick, to correct him. And it was still increasing in frequency. And so her behavior's escalating. His behavior is still escalating. He's, I'm sure he's thinking, ow, 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 but at least you're here. It was better for him to have her with him than standing by himself. Now, in our perception, we look at that and go, no, that's a bad thing. What I'm doing is a bad thing. It's a correcting thing. But in his eyes, if the behavior's increasing in frequency, he's getting something out of it, and I think it was his presence. So how we corrected that then is I said, okay, when he paws, ignore him and only go to him when he's standing quietly. So we used something, we corrected by utilizing or drawing attention to a constructive good behavior, which is standing quietly in the cross ties. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yep, that makes sense.
And so it's not always easy to see, I got to say. And there's a million situations where it goes on. But if you can at least go, okay, behavior's increasing in frequency, something's going on here. That sometimes ask somebody else what it might be. But sometimes you can see what it is. Sometimes we can't, and we just have to rebalance that behavior, not really knowing that information. But if you see it increasing in frequency, it means something is serving to reinforce it.
It's interesting. You used the term early on, like to expound upon that a little bit, operant conditioning. And by the way, everybody, that's spelled OPERANT. We learned that, I used to teach sales for a lot of years, and there was a direct correlation with some of the things we used to do in sales. And if I remember right, we always had 4 contexts of operant conditioning. Now we're going to get deep here. We had positive reinforcement, which was what you're talking about. You had negative reinforcement, which doesn't mean you beat them over the head. It basically means you're just taking away as opposed to giving something. Positive punishment, which also occurred. How to explain positive punishment? It follows a stimulus, such as introducing a loud noise or something like that, and then there was negative punishment. So those 4 things. Now, we are not big proponents of positive or negative punishment, but rather of positive or negative reinforcement. Mm-hmm. And but I remember those. We used to tie those into sales and the levels of learning in sales as well. So that's where I became familiar with operant conditioning. And
it's something that we all learn that way, and we're utilizing it every day. Our horses are utilizing it every day. So the more we can kind of become aware of these principles, and by the way, they're proven principles that we're talking about. These aren't theories, and so the more we become aware of it, the better we can become as trainers and recognizing what we're applying and what we choose to apply. And I find that, some horses, because traditional horse training falls into the negative reinforcement category, meaning we remove something that reinforces the horse. And people get a real bad idea about that, but it is not punishment. And I use it all the time. It's a great learning tool. But it is but again, I focus on the positive reinforcement because that's what we did at SeaWorld. But it's kind of trying to find the balance. All the horses as individuals, some respond so much better with one or the other. It's a balance. So yeah, it's good to be aware of that. And thanks for kind of talking about that a little bit.
Well, and there were two other terms that were used back then too, and that's shaping and chaining.
Yes.
I don't know. We're going to be going way deep if we go into shaping and chaining, I think. But it was something that we did, and basically chaining is putting a whole bunch of individual responses together to form a sequence.
Right.
And what we did with chaining was we taught habits. In other words, you did a number of things every day and they became a habit. And we wanted them done in a certain sequence in the sales process. So that's where chaining came in. But boy, you're bringing back memories now.
And I think it's a little daunting for some people. I think it seems kind of overwhelming and intimidating, but it is already in effect. And because, like at SeaWorld, we would study this, and it was all in textbook terms, which were just so gobbledygooked. So basically, my goal has always been to take it out of the textbook terms and put it into layman terms, because it's already working and doing, and we're using it. If the more we can understand and use it in user-friendly terms and make it so much less mystifying and not get hung up in it, but just think, how does this apply practically to my horse loading in a trailer, per se.
Well, then I'll do one more just because this is so much fun. And the other one I remember that we used to call extinction. I don't know if they still call it extinction. Do they? And that's the one I remember the example being the rat who the rat keeps pushing on a lever to get a piece of food and keeps pushing on the lever. He figures out, he keeps pushing on that lever. He's going to get food. He does that several times. And then he pushes on the lever again and no more food ever comes out. Well, the rat soon learns that I'm going to stop pushing on the lever because nothing would happen.
Right.
And that's sort of the extinction method where you reinforce it for a certain period of time and then you take it away. Well, they soon learn that they're not going to get anything for that anymore.
And they actually go through something called an extinction burst. Before they quit, the criteria, they get almost manic about it. You know what I mean? Like they lever until they finally go, okay, now I quit. So it kind of accelerates through that process, and then it goes away. Was
that the same way with the mammals? If you used extinction on them at SeaWorld, it would happen the same way? They would get manic about it?
Yes, and it's same with the horses. Like a horse who it's worked to buck people off, let's say. That sometimes when it's not working, the reinforcement usually happened by now, and if they get somebody on who they can't get off, sometimes they give up quicker, but sometimes they try even harder.
They just lose it, yeah.
Yeah, because they're thinking this has always worked, and now it's not working, so they're raising their own criteria. But it's just part of the learning process. So I don't use extinction as a planned method, but sometimes it's already created and you need to kind of let it go away. Instead, I like to use something, it technically is called a differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior.
Okay,
but
there you go.
Teaching them to do something that they can't do the same. Like a horse who is in the stall and turns to kick you, when you're in the stall, and then if you have a target, you make it more reinforcing. He can't touch the target in your hand and turn to kick you all at the same time. So he has to make a choice. Which one am I going to do? So if I can, I try and make it very clear, come over here and do this behavior. So I give them something, I make it more reinforcing to do the constructive behavior, the thing that will help set us up for success.
And then we're not going to get into avoidance learning either. We'll do that a different time. So, all right, this has been fun. What great fun. And as I said, it did bring back memories, things I haven't thought about in years. And, it must be so much fun for you, and we'll end on this, because it is always more fun to be a teacher. I got pretty good at sales for a lot of years and made a lot of money doing it. And then when I went into sales training, I realized you don't realize how much you do know until you start to teach other people. And then you become so much better by being a teacher than you ever were on your own.
It is totally true. And then I also find, though, that I never stop learning either. Sometimes oh yeah, I forgot about that. Or, somebody just wrote me a letter the other day and said, oh, I thought maybe this or this or this. And you're like, yes, that is so good. I just love that. I love the teaching. It's really awesome to see.
It is fun. It is fun. All right. So they can find out more about you at AskShawna.com. And also, if they want to listen to past tips that we have done together, we've done a number of them now, then go to Horse Tip Daily. And on the left-hand side, you'll find a drop-down menu with all of the experts listed there. Just look up Shawna, and you can find all of her tips in a row. You can go back and listen to them all at once if you like. And you could probably, if you were clever enough, cut me out, leave her in, and then you'll have a whole bunch of good tips right in a row. Thank you, Shawna.
Thank you, Glenn.
Well, we hope that didn't bore you too much. I hope you found something interesting in that conversation. And as we said, you can find Shawna and all her contact information at horsetipdaily.com. And don't forget to listen to Horses in the Morning every morning, 9 a.m., Monday through Friday. It's becoming a very popular show. We have a lot of fun over there with Jamie Jennings and my wife, Jennifer H. And tomorrow we're going to be making a little announcement here on Horse Tip Daily that I think you're going to want to hear. And we're going to be welcoming a new member to the Horse Tip Daily team, and I'm going to be happy to talk to you about that tomorrow. So tune back in here again tomorrow. That's it, everybody. Have a safe day, wear your helmet, and get a ride in today.
The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.